Welcome to another video on our node by node challenge where we're going through every single node within Blender 4.3 shader workspace, and we've gone through all the inputs and we're on the output menus. We are on the second one, which is called the AOV output, and I'm going to be going through showing you a little bit how it works. So the AOV output is the arbitrary output variable. So basically what that means is that if you want to be able to have an alternate output variable to your object, for example, a specific color, which you can use any of the primary colors, then you can do that and set it up in the shading workspace. So basically what you have to do is you have to come in here, you create whatever you want for your surface of your object, and then you add in an additional AOV output over here on the right. And you have, like in my example, I'm using an RGB node. You can use a color ramp. You could use a lot of things, mix color, for example. But you set up a color, and then you plug it into the color, and you'll see it's got a name here. So the name, it says ID, has to match up with in your over in your layer workspace over here on the right hand. That's right below the output. You'll see something that says shader AOV. You have to add in a shader AOV and then name it. And that name has to be identical with the AOV output. So basically what that means is whatever you have in here, it's going to save this under that name so that when you go and you render this, which you have to do in order to be able to see this in the compositor, basically you're going to take and you render this first. So you would go up to render image. It's going to take a second. Once it renders the image, then you're going to go over into the compositor and you're going to select to use nodes. Okay, and what that's going to do is it's going to bring up your object and it's going to bring up the composite. If you hit Control, Shift, and left click on render layers, your viewer will pop up. And then when your viewer pops up, you're going to be able to see this behind it. And you're going to see on this left-hand side allows you to use these different channels. So image, alpha, and then the one that we created, this AOV output, which is ID. Now, if I take this AOV output of ID and drop it in here, it's going to change my subject to the color that I selected in that object. So that can be useful if you want to be able to have certain objects have a certain color assigned to them, even though that's not what their rendered space is. It can be useful for that, and there's some other ways you can use it when you're animating and stuff too. But overall, that's the basics of it. So occasionally you'll use this just to be able to control what output color it is in the compositor afterwards. So hopefully that helps, gives you some ideas about how that AOV output works. Make sure you like, save, and share this video, and I will continue going through all the other outputs, and then we'll go on to the next section.